Hey guys, how's it going? It's Lavelle Miller here with the Wide World of Velle, the DraftKings selections for UFC Sao Paulo, the UFC Fight Night event that is titled Santos versus Ayers. Uh, Quick background about DraftKings once again, if this is your guys' first time checking out this video, is you get a $50,000 salary cap, and you have to choose 6 fighters to fill that cap. And the salaries based off the fighters is their probability of winning and scoring the most points. But obviously, a higher ranked person or higher price person could still lose to a lower price person. You get points for significant strikes, takedowns, reversal sweeps, and advances on the ground. And you also get points depending on how fast you finish the fight. The closer you finish the fight in the first round, the more points it is versus finishing it in the third or fifth, as the main event would be. You still get points for decision wins, but you want the person to finish. It doesn't matter how they finish, regardless if it's a knockout, ref stoppage, injury stoppage, or a submission. It is still valued the same. So previously, like I've done on the videos, and like I will do again today, I will give selections. And the selections that I will give is typically goes like this: 2 sure winners, in my opinion, some card fillers, and a sleeper. And also, I will give you some fights to avoid. Covering this card by looking it over, there's a lot of these fighters I do believe are going to get to decisions more or less because of the style. And not only the style, because it's in Brazil, a lot of these fighters seem to have to travel there. Besides, of course, the Brazilian natives that are there, obviously. But it ends up being a lot of decisions a lot of times when it comes to these cards, especially due to some of the start times to have to try to compare it with here in the U.S. So, with that out of the way, let's go to some of my sure picks. So, sure pick number 1 is Sergio Moraes versus Ben Saunders. Sergio Moraes, give you background about him, is a multiple-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion in the black belt, and he's going against Ben Saunders, a guy who likes to use his length, rubber guard type game on the ground. Obviously, if it gets to the ground, Moraes would have the obvious advantage there. If it's on the feet, Moraes actually does have better striking. Ben Saunders does seem to have a suspect chin at times. It gets dropped fairly often. Ben Saunders did knock out his last opponent, Jake Ellenberger, but Jake Ellenberger is not the same person as he was a few years ago. So when it goes to the feet and standing, Sergio Moraes is my pick. He doesn't actually gain a lot of points, but like I said, I believe this card will be decision heavy, so it's picking somebody that I believe will be able to get the job done, winning and possibly actually finishing because of the skills of his opponent. Next one is Augusto Saki. This is a heavyweight fight, fighting against Chase Sherman. Augusto Saki has really great striking. He's also will be a 20 pounds more than Chase Sherman, or even probably more than that when they actually get in the cage. Chase Sherman tends to have problems with people who actually will be willing to stand in front of him and trade. Chase won't switch it up and go for takedowns or things like that. Augusto Saki hits harder. He'll be the bigger guy. He did fight on the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series, where he did get a finish there as well. So he does have a lot of big power. So Sergio Moraes and Augusto Saki. Now, prices on them: Sergio Moraes is at $9,100, and Augusto Saki is at $8,800. So, those are pretty steep prices for those fighters, but both of those fighters, the reason why I would choose them versus some of these other ones I will get to is because of finishing ability. And then I also might, looking at this as well again, I was kind of torn between it. And actually, no, I'm not gonna do that one. That dude might end up actually being a sleeper. So going after them, we I gave you the two at the top. So let me try to figure out and give you some filler. So some filler, those are guys that I look at as I believe will win, possibly finish, but um, cheaper price. It does help out a lot. But the first guy, he's still on the higher end. Thiago Santos versus Eric Ayres. Thiago Santos was originally the main event to fight Jimmy Manawa. Jimmy Manawa unfortunately got injured. He was out of the fight. Eric Ayres stepped in on about 7 days' notice. Thiago Santos, from his last fight when he fought Kevin Holland, beat the man pillar to post, used his striking and his takedowns, showing that he has realized he has to open up his game a lot more to be able to hang with the elite of the elite. But he has fantastic kicks, drops people with body kicks all the time. Versus Eric Ayres, like I said, Eric Ayres is taking this fight on short notice. However, the last time he was out, he did get a fantastic head kick knockout on a guy as he was standing up. But Thiago Santos seems to be able to bring in more things together. And plus, with that fight, this fight is the main event. So this fight has the ability to possibly go 5 rounds. And what's good about that is because of all the other scoring criteria that are added, if this fight goes 5 rounds and it's a back and forth war, both these guys may accumulate, over 100 points, respectively for each of them. So it could be a fight that you look at as having both fighters, but I wouldn't do that with this one. If I had to pick one of the two based off of me thinking the fight is going to go 5 rounds and overall points you can get versus ways of also being able to finish the fight, Thiago Santos is my guy for that. As we slide down to Rodrigo Nogueira versus Sam Alvey. Rodrigo Nogueira could also be looked at as a sleeper on here. Now, he is also coming off, I believe, a 2-year USADA suspension. So, kind of got a lot of ring rust there. But he's fighting a guy against Sam Alvey. Sam Alvey does hit pretty hard, but he is not going to look to do anything besides stand in front of you and trade. If he does that, Nogueira was a country, national, I don't know how to really describe it, what they was, a boxing champion back in his younger days. He also is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so if it's on the ground or if it's standing, Nogueira has more ways to win with his overall striking. Alvey doesn't throw a lot of kicks, neither does Nogueira, so it would be a boxing match. But if it was a boxing match that went to the ground for some strange reason, I believe Nogueira will be able to get that done. He could also be looked at as being a sleeper because he's only $7,000. So this actually might be my sleeper pick for you guys. And I'm going to go ahead and just actually call him that. Is Rodrigo Nogueira at the $7,000 mark versus Sam Alvey. Sam Alvey is at, they got him at 9,200. Yeah, man, that's insane. So you got those two. Another guy that I was kind of debating could possibly be the sleeper as well at 6,900 is Carlo Predasola fighting Alex Oliveira. Alex Oliveira does have a lot of ways to win the fight, whether with his hands or with his submission game, and he does a lot more takedowns now as well. That's what a lot of these guys are doing now, realizing they needed to round their game out a whole lot more. Peter Soli, I don't know why I keep saying this man's name weird. He did end up winning a decision of his first fight in the UFC back in May. He could be a guy to look at depending on how you're front loading a lot of your guys for points when you're having to circle it down to the end. So, like I said, Either Nogueira or Pozzoli are sleepers. You can't really have two sleepers, but that's what I would go there. Because actually, really looking at it, some of these guys that are ranked lower on the end, um, they are probably going to go to decision with a lot of their guys that they're fighting. And so, if it's a close back and forth battle, now mind you, you're looking, it's like 30 points for a decision. So you're looking at getting a guy that gets like 34 points. He doesn't get a decision, so it sucks that you didn't get that. But he going against another guy that he does get the decision. He costs less, and you might be able to get one of these big name guys at the top of the card. Uh, Fights I would avoid. Actually, no. Before I get to that, another pick that I would believe to be used, like I said, is filler. It's kind of hard. It's Ryan Spence versus Enrique. Luis Enrique is going to want to stand and bang with a lot of these guys. He's coming down from heavyweight to hang out with a lot of these guys. He hasn't fought in the UFC for over a year because he got just kind of got the rails handed to him after his first two wins. He ended up losing twice in a row. But Ryan Spann is a guy that has finished people with submissions and hands, and I believe he's also on a 4-fight win streak. This is his first fight in the UFC. The UFC kind of does this a lot when you have a guy that you're interested in seeing. You put him against somebody who's local. So Luis Enrique, they're not calling him, they're not looking for him to fight on anybody. But this is a perfect showcase fight for Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann is unfortunately $8,700. So you got to figure out what you want to do in this $50,000 cap that you want to do. Fighters that I would avoid. Now, mind you, they may win. They may win. I'm not saying that they ain't gonna win, but it's just that the cost is versus what they can possibly reproduce is kind of ridiculous. Because bringing this up, not being sexist in any means. But with a lot of women fighters, they're not going to win fights by knockout. It'll be decisions or it has to be submissions. So when you have a woman like Liviana Souza, she is undefeated, I do believe, and she's fighting Alex Chambers. She's at $9,600. That is really, really high for... And they're fighting at a strawweight, so that's 115 pounds. So that is really high for a person who may not finish the fight. They may win a decision. They may win a dominant decision, but it's only, like I said, it can get you 60, 70 points, but she just ate up 9,600 in your cap space. And a lot of these people at the top, their win versus what you're going to probably get is probably way too high. And that way you could probably mix and match cards a lot better. Let's see here. This guy, he's undefeated. Zelix Dos Santos. He just actually got his first knockout in the UFC. He had been beating guys by decision. And he is fighting Luigi Venamini. This is an Italian cat. This is also his debut in the UFC. Dos Santos is probably going to beat him, but once again, he's $9,500 for him to win. He's only averaging 73 or pretty much 74 fan points right now. At that high of a value, it's not really worth it. Another one, mind you, because like I said, how they did the card. Charles Oliveira versus Christos Gagos. This is also his debut in the UFC. He has finished people as well with strikes and submissions. Charles Oliveira is known for his submission game. So he's going to be shooting for takedowns. Charles is, and be trying to do everything he can to get to his back to tap him, or trying to get Gallegos to shoot on him to lock up one of his ultra tight guillotines. Doesn't really matter if it doesn't go the way Charles wants it to go. He's going to cost you $9,400, and he only averages 60 fan points. He's been alternating wins and losses as of late, but I would not get Charles Oliveira. Just fights in general, I would not get. Is Evan Dunham versus Francisco Trinaldo. This will be probably like a grappling affair, going back and forth, exchanging on the hands and the feet a little bit. But most of this fight will be grappling. Francisco is the favorite. It's going to cost you $8,900 versus the cost of Evan Dunham at $7,300. That's a fight I would just completely just bypass, not even worry about it. Talis Latis versus Hector Lombard. That fight is a good fight for these guys in their career where they're at. Not good for DraftKings because it could go either way really fast. Either Hector Lombard gets a quick knockout, Talis Latis gets a quick knockout. Does it go all 3 rounds at a boring decision? There's too much uncertainty with that fight, so I would not pick that fight as well either. Let's see here. Is that Glenn? That's not Glenn. Gillian Robinson. Actually, he might be another good guy to pick up. Let's see how much his opponent is worth. Sorry about this, guys, because sometimes when you're sitting here looking at the stuff on DraftKings, you realize that there could be some guys that are kind of worth something. Oh yes, so Jillian Robinson, she has 2 subs since she's been in the UFC so far. So this actually goes back to my point about the women fighters. Pick a fighter that you can see, especially when it comes to women's fighters, who have shown finishing ability. You don't want ones that have a lot of decisions. I mean, it's just like men. You wouldn't want ones that have the decisions, but sometimes they sit there and they price them way too high for you to get a decision just because they're going to win. She's fighting Mariah Bueno da Silva, and Bueno Silva, she just actually came off of Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. I can't even talk. Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series for Brazil only, where she ended up winning by Darce choke in the first round. She caught a girl shot in a double on her, and she went from double to single, but she kept her head in her chest the whole time. Didn't respect Bueno Silva's arm sliding under the neck, or under her arm through her neck, and she locked up the Darce, and by the time she recognized what was happening to her, she was asleep. So Bueno Silva, actually, I think this is her second submission she's had in a row versus Gillian Robinson. Didn't really see a lot that I did like out of that fight for them, but once again, cost and everything is how things are going to look for you. This fight could end in another submission, or it could end with 2 people trying to grapple the entire time, and they don't have enough knockout power on the feet to actually put somebody out. So it'll be a volume type of thing. And if you look at actually the points for a lot of the women who take people down and get a lot of ground and pounder, drag people down, their points aren't as high as some of the male fighters who do that as well. And I think that's probably because of a conflict of the scoring thing. On the ground is considered power strike versus significant, and they could also just assume that the strikes aren't as powerful. But weight class dependent, all that matters. So that could be a fight you might want to avoid. Kind of looking at the size of it, it will be a flyweight fight, I do believe, and Bueno Silva looks bigger than Robertson, based off of the film I did see. So that might be something to check out. Uh, and this is Bueno Silva's debut. Uh, I think that does cover pretty much everybody that I want to say about seeing or not seeing. Uh, but throw this guy in there as well because I pretty much did actually end up covering an entire card. I didn't really mean to. There's a couple other fights I didn't really cover, so that's fine. Like I said, it's just tips and tricks at this point. Andre Edwell's fighting Renan Barao. This fight could be a great selection for people who are looking to fill the card to pick up Andre Edwell at $7,700. He could be looked at as a sleeper as well. This is his, I know, 3 sleepers. Who knows? We'll find out tomorrow how well I was on that those picks for the sleepers. But Andre Edwell is fighting Renan Barao, and Renan Barao missed weight by, they're saying 5 pounds. It's over 5 pounds. The weight class was 135. Renan Barao weighed in at 141.6. Not even close. So now we have to get to the point of what we think it is here. Did Renan not actually train for this fight? Did Renan just have problems cutting the weight and didn't come off? He's compromised. He has been forced by the UFC to actually fight at 145 pounds before, which is pretty much, he already weighed that as well. Anyway, I don't think there was any restrictions on how bigger Renan was going to be allowed to get for this fight. But Andre Edwell, once again, it's important to always look up some of these stats about his fighters. Submission finishes in the first round, knockout finishes in the first round. Would not pick Renan Barao at all by any stretch of the imagination because it doesn't look like he even really trained for this fight. But Andre Edwell, this is his debut as well. I would have to go with him. So let's just bring it all back around town. So bringing it all the way back around town, we'll look at it like this. I won't say I'm all again because you guys can go back to the front of the video. So Sergio Moraes, I would definitely pick. I would definitely possibly pick, if I'm looking for filler, Andre Edwell. I would probably also pick up Nogueira. And then a person I definitely would avoid just because of sheer cost is Luis. I'm sorry, I'm saying her name wrong again. Liviana Souza. This is her debut solely because of cost, $9,600. She would have to submit her pretty fast to be worth that. Even if she did, at that price point, what else can you really sit there and mix with? So you guys have the power to go back and check the guys that you, or gals that you want. Always remember, it's not necessarily like they have their average fantasy points. Check out who they're fighting styles. If you cover MMA, obviously if you're doing this, who they're fighting styles, and probability due to the card because of time and everything else. All these things are major factors when it comes to things like that. Camps that they go with, things that they're working on, how that camp is doing versus in the current and in the past. So thank you guys for checking out this video. Hope you guys win some money. And if you have anything or you do something big, the comment section that is below, you already know. Go ahead and drop some comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I put out content as much as I can. I need to do it a lot more, I know that. But I do appreciate everybody who checks my videos out. This is how you become legendary and greatness is earned.